a jersey, ain't gon' never stop. Just fans got me tuning in, waiting for the drop. Astros, Texas, Rockets, Dynamo, they coming with it. When they pull up, got the city sitting on a fitted. Straight up A-Leaf, hold it down, ain't gon' never quit it. Just fans got me tuning in, let my dog get it. Southwest A-Leaf, Texas, throw down here and it's so infectious. We ride for the Houston Astros, Rockets, Dynamo, and them Texans.
How's it going, y'all? It's Carlos, your host of the Just Fans podcast, and I got with me the one and only Rios. How's it going, Rios?
Man, the Monday after the Super Bowl should be a national holiday. I was dragging that all day.
It really should be. I agree with you 100%. That's why I took off today. And, of course, we got the one and only Poppy. How's it going, Poppy?
Just like Rios, dude. Like, it should be a fucking national holiday. This week can kick my ass, brother.
All of you work today. And of course, we got the youth Twitter's shit talker. This guy's gotten in so many arguments on Twitter. It's become like his own little Netflix series of me tuning in every time I see it. Right. We got the one and only, the BrownChubbyBear himself, V from Texans 22 podcast. Brother, nice to have you back. Nice to have you back on the show. How have you been?
I've been real good, brother. Yeah, everything's going well. Had a good time watching the Super Bowl at a cigar lounge. Like you, I struggled this morning, but if you don't stop drinking, you never get to have a hangover, man. So that is the key.
Yeah.
Oh, words
that's what it's been.
Near and dear to my heart.
Man, it's great to have you on, dude. It's been a while. I don't think I've had you on for a minute, but you know, we've both been busy with our stuff. You guys have been doing such an amazing job with Texans 22. Have some great guests or whatnot, and so obviously, congrats to like all your success, dude. It's been going well for you guys.
I really appreciate it.
No problem. Yeah, every time I see it, I was like, man, these guys got some good guests going on. I think y'all had is it Vandermeer you guys had on not that long ago?
Last Tuesday we had Vandermeer, and this Tuesday we have John McClain.
There you go. The general himself, John McClain. Yeah, man, that's awesome. All right, so let's as you said a little while ago, Super Bowl. It should be the day after should be a day off nationally for everybody while it gives them time to recover from everything that they went through. So let's talk a little bit about this Super Bowl. I was texting back and forth with the guys. Poppy said this has been like the most boring Super Bowl I've seen in a while at one point.
I would say like 75% of it was very goddamn boring. Yeah.
And then Rio's just talking shit about Brock Purdy the entire time. It was pretty funny.
Entire time.
He's like, what a system quarterback this guy is. This guy sucks or whatever, right? So back and forth. Guys, your thoughts on the Super Bowl, what you liked, what you didn't like. Rio, start off with you first.
Man, the first half, there was more action during the Puppy Bowl. Like, bro, it was bad. I mean, there were some good defensive stops, but for the most part, it was just sloppy football. A lot of miscues, a lot of mental errors. Wasn't the most exciting first half of football. Second half, they definitely picked up. You could tell the Chiefs definitely made adjustments. And the 49ers didn't score too much in the second half. They scored, 9 points in the second half and overtime?
Something like that, yeah.
Like 9 or 10 points. Something like that. They didn't score a whole bunch, and they made the adjustments to win the game. I give hats off to the 49ers defense. They held their own against Patrick Mahomes. Like they, for 3.5 quarters, he looked, he didn't look like Patrick Mahomes, but it's like Tom Brady, man. Like these dudes, they just find a way to win in the clutch.
He just win, dude.
Yeah. No, yeah. But Mahomes found a way to win, and I'll get back to me on that one. But yeah, exactly. I agree with you, Rios. V, what were your thoughts on that, bud?
I think I'm probably in the minority here, thinking that I thought it was an excellent game. I love defensive games, first of all. So, Kansas City, people really don't understand how great of a defense Kansas City had all season long. Because obviously you have Patrick Mahomes on, and you just take offense. But, their receivers struggled, right? They had the most drops in the league. And so their defense is what carried Kansas City for a lot of times. And people don't realize how much that D-line really helped them. You saw Chris Jones stopped 4 separate drives, right? Yes. And so you had their corners really sticking on every single receiver. I don't care if it was Ayuk or Debo or whatever. So you had really good defense from Kansas City. In the first half, the 49ers were dominating the trenches. It was their game. And then it seemed like, for whatever reason, they either got tired or they took the foot off the gas from a defensive standpoint, because Kansas City started winning in the trenches. And that's when you saw them taking over the game. And as you all know, games are won or lost in the trenches, and that's what happened. That's why it looked like the Kansas City was going to lose this game in the first half, and then it just switched in the second half. Listen, Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. I am not going to throw shade on him. I am not here to say I hate him or anything like that because he's winning. But I think you cannot minimize what the defense did for Kansas City. And in all reality, I know a lot of people are blaming Brock Purdy, but 49ers he did not throw an interception. He didn't throw any turnovers. He threw for 250 plus yards, a touchdown. He had a decent game. The issue is he had to deal with CMC fumbling the ball. You had a really bad punt that landed on a foot that just gave it back to Kansas City. You had a situation where there were so many issues outside of just Purdy that it's really hard to overcome that, especially when you have a defense like Kansas City. And in all reality, Mahomes, yes, that last drive was pretty good, but in all reality, Mahomes didn't do like amazing things like you're used to seeing. Brock Purdy extended plays too. It just didn't land. And I'll say this. If Moody did not miss that PAT, we would be having a completely conversation about who was spectacular right now. Because if Moody made that PAT, everyone would be saying, I was wrong about Brock Purdy. He's elite.
All right.
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay, so let me.
Poppy, your thoughts.
I wouldn't say elite. I'm not on the camp like Rios is, where we hate him and everything. No,
I don't hate him. I just don't think he's elite. Like they're trying to hype him up to be.
I've said like
he manages the game very well.
You got to give the man his flowers, right? Like because he does
he manages
what he needs to do for his team to win. And like you said, V, like yesterday, he did everything that he could. People are talking about like, oh, they should have given CMC more touches. But like you said, Kansas City made adjustments in the second half that got them to a point where they tied the game and eventually took it to overtime and won. And what I'll say about this Super Bowl in particular, because I remember last year it was a lot more back and forth between Mahomes and Hurts. This time, after the first two drives for both teams, you could be like, I was like, there's no way, like Kansas City, the way they're playing right now, they're gonna score a goddamn point, because San Francisco were all over them, dude. Ooh. Like the first drive, I don't even think they got a first down. Like it was completely like shut down defense, which I can appreciate to an extent. But when it's like the whole fucking first half was what, 13 points total?
Yeah,
something stupid like that. I was like, okay, this is not what I need right now. Right now I need like a back and forth fucking 24-24 going into the half, like type of shit. But yeah, I mean, everybody's glad that the Niners lost.
Sub Junior.
Honestly, if I could have chosen for both teams to lose, I would have said I would have chosen that. Like I wanted the Ravens to be in there. Hell, I would have preferred the Bills to be on this. What's up, Albert?
What's up, Albert?
But Kansas City, well deserved. Like we said, they have the best quarterback in the league, one of the best tight ends of all time. The defense did a lot of the job for them because they couldn't get anything going. I would say for like 2.5 quarters of this game. But Kansas, Coach Reed has been here before. He's done it time and time again. Second most postseason wins by a head coach ever. So like he knows what he needs to do to make adjustments and get his team to win. We knew going into the Super Bowl that Kansas City is not the same Kansas City we've seen in the past 5 years. They look
the worst version of themselves.
They look very beatable. And we saw that throughout the whole regular season. And if there was a team that could beat them, because we saw that the Ravens couldn't do it. The Bills couldn't do it. If there was a team that could beat them, would be the Niners defense. Not so much their offense, but their defense was going to beat them. And for 2.5 quarters, it looked that way.
I will agree 100% with you guys, with V and Poppy on the Brock Purdy thing. I know, Rios, you said you're not a Brock Purdy hater, and I agree with you. I think you just do the criticizing part, but you're not a Brock Purdy hater. I'll agree with Rios that I don't think Brock Purdy is elite. I think he's a great manager.
Is he top 10?
I wouldn't go that far to top 10. I don't know. That's just me, right? I'm not considering top 10.
He's better than Trevor Lawrence. I'll give him that.
Yeah, I would say, and we'll talk about the whole Jaguar thing later because I know V over here is really fond of the Jaguars.
Is he top 15 though? Like
probably top 15 because, like, I would say Brock Purdy, to me, he's made some plays where, as a quarterback, you need to extend some plays. Dude, the way he was evading some of those tackles and moving left and right, I was like, oh, that's really good stuff right there. Like, he's able to get out of sticky situations. I'll agree with 100% agree with V when he said earlier that a lot of it wasn't really much on him with the Christian McCaffrey fumble. It seemed like when the Niners got some sort of momentum, they themselves got themselves out of it because of, again, mental errors.
The one play that changed this, and I'm sorry that I'm cutting you off. The one play that changed the whole game was that punt that hit the leg of the Niners.
When you gave it back.
Yeah, once the Kansas City, because Kansas City couldn't even get out of their own half in that drive. They got the ball basically at the end zone, and they managed to score from that. That's what turned the whole thing around. And once Kansas City like get the taste for blood, that's when Mahomes gets into the zone. Like
it's very reminiscent of Brady. It's very reminiscent of Brady. Do you remember once if you gave Brady any sort of lead or any sort of chance or any opportunity, he knows to make you pay.
They're gonna make you pay.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Kansas City did. They took advantage of it, and they won. They won based on, again, the mental mistakes. All the little errors that happened that culminated into the 49ers getting out of their own momentum. To me, it's like they shot themselves in the foot. And as Texans fans, we have seen that happen to our team before. So as a Texans fan, I was like, I know where this is going. I've seen this story before. You know,
I know that feel.
I know that feel in my heart. You know, but now it's happening to somebody else. So, you know, that's how I felt. And so I was like, I've seen this before. You know, let's go back to I hate to bring up Deshaun, but whatever. Deshaun Watson against the Patriots. Tom Brady was still in there. I think it was his rookie year, 2017. One of the best matches I've seen going back and forth with the Texans and Patriots. Deshaun Watson and Bill O'Brien. The Texans are up on the Patriots. They have like a minute and 30, almost 2 minutes or something like that in the fourth quarter. They gave Brady just a little too much time due to Bill O'Brien's terrible time management. And then the Patriots took advantage of it, and they beat the Texans.
They flipped the game on its head.
They flipped the game over. That's what it reminded me of Mahomes yesterday. You gave him a little bit, and he took full advantage of it. So
too much time.
The Niners were never out of this game. And like anything could have happened in overtime, 100%. It's just I feel like their defense, they ran out of steam a little too much. Like in the first half, they were unplayable, dude. And it was disgustingly boring how fucking good they were defensively.
Right.
Well, hurt though, losing Greenlaw to that freak injury,
dude. They were dropping like flies. They were dropping like flies.
Like we came out of a commercial and they're like, "Oh, you're never gonna believe what happened." And you see the fucking replay, fucking tore his Achilles or whatever.
When I saw it, I texted the guys. No, it was his Achilles.
Yeah, so
I texted the guys when it happened. Like, oh man, he tore his Achilles. Like they showed it in slow. Like, oh yeah, that's an Achilles.
Yeah, Kobe got his Achilles, and like he took 2 free throws. Man, he could have done a couple of snaps.
The NFL writers were on that. Like, all right, this is where you're going to fall. Boom.
All right, turf. You should raise turf a little bit right here. Like,
yeah, and then we think that injury like completely derailed the game. I don't think so. I feel like the 49ers still have plenty of talent to compete against anybody. Like on paper, they're definitely the best team in the league. You know, Mr. Relevant or whatever, like he has an all-pro team around him, and that's the best way you can build a team around anybody. Like if you can just only get somebody that's serviceable, you don't have to pay max money to, and use all the money and all of your assets to, you know, build like a completely all-pro team around the guy. Like that's all you need to do. And San Francisco, they should have been winners last night. I'm not rooting for them. Fuck San Francisco. Fuck Kansas City. Fuck the Saints. But it's just like that's just football, man. That's
My
just
thing
football.
is this:
It is.
if you can't win with a team with this much talent, like, because eventually you're gonna have to pay all these other guys, like, and you're gonna have to pay Purdy in 3 years too. Like,
and we know they're gonna be back next year.
Yeah, hold on. Let's let V get some minutes because we've been doing all the talking. V, what's your
All right,
opinion on this?
let me say two things. One is I know some people are complaining that Kyle should have ran the ball more, but Brian Baldinger did a great little 90-second review about why people can't complain about that. Because if you look at it, Chris Jones was just dominant, and it wasn't just him. It was literally everyone on that Kansas City D that was just stopping the run. And he just showed like 5 different plays. But if you look at it, CMC was averaging 3.6 yards per carry. He's usually around 6. And so he was getting stuffed, and that's the reason why Kyle had to go for the pass. So I don't blame Kyle for that. The one thing I do blame Kyle for is saying that he didn't want the ball second in overtime, right? Like that's like getting the ball second is an advantage because all right, if they have a field goal or whatever, you have to get it. Like you just know you have a little more ease. If you're going first and you don't score a touchdown, you're effed. Because now it's all up on the defense. And so I think that was honestly his biggest flaw of the entire night. And then obviously the 49ers just made flaws throughout the game. In the biggest game of the year, you have your new kicker missing a PAT. You had fumbles by your best back. Your special teams has to get better. Like, people say, the only thing that matters is offense sometimes. It's offense, defense, and special teams.
Everything.
Special teams, you could say special teams cost them this game. Right, and I'll say this again: a missed PAT, they can't just say, "Oh, we can tie it up here for a field goal." We'll have the field goal in our back pocket. We'll try to get a touchdown, but it doesn't matter. We have a kicker that can kick for 55 yards. We don't have to do all that much. So if it's not there, don't worry about it. Just go to overtime and let's kill it there. But because that's because of missed PAT. If there was 4 points between them, they can't. They have to go for a touchdown. Now he has to throw. He has to put the ball at risk. You have a chance to intercept them. You have a chance to bat it down. You literally gave him the win, by missing that PAT. And then you made another mistake by saying that you wanted to get the ball first. That's where I think the 49ers failed.
Yeah, a lot of it. You can put some. It's mental. Like overall, it was mental mistakes by coaching, by players, like all around. The 49ers shot themselves in the foot, really, in more than just one area of the ball. Overall, it's they lost. They themselves had the chance to do it with that type of defense that they had and they displayed. I mean, they were all over them. If you want to talk about swarm, they were swarming all over the place.
Ridiculous, man.
But
it was 11 to the ball every play almost.
At the end of the day, I saw exhaustion, but then with all these little mental errors that were made by coaching, by special teams, Christian McCaffrey fumbling, the PAT, like all these things ended in culminating that the 49ers just couldn't get it done, and that's it.
I don't think it was like so much that the 49ers lost because of their own like mental troubles and whatnot. I feel like everybody played the best game they could have played. If you look at both quarterbacks, I feel like Brock Purdy did everything he could. He protected the ball. He marched down the field whenever he could. Like V said, that Kansas defense was resilient. It was out of the two, I couldn't even tell you which defense was better. I feel like San Francisco was bigger on the pass rush, but like fucking Kansas City, man, even when they looked like they were getting beat, like their corners were making big plays, like their safeties were making big plays. Stuffing CMC is not something that every team in the NFL can say that they've done. When that trade happened, when CMC to the 49ers, I was like, oh, it's over for the league. And it feels like 20 some odd teams probably agree with me, but Kansas City like showed up to the day and they said, no, we're not gonna let him beat us. If anything, we're gonna let Brock beat us, but not the run game. And
Legarius Pete said it at the post-game conference. Their plan was let Brock Purdy throw the ball. They were
he did a good job doing that too. So I feel like the 49ers just did what they could. I feel like at the end of the day, I don't even want to put that much credit on Mahomes because like he had a good game, but it wasn't like we say, it wasn't like the most incredible thing we've ever seen. I feel like his performance last year was better, even though Jalen was probably the best quarterback on the field last year. But it was just like I can't even put it into words. Like I feel like one team won and one team lost, and I don't feel like there's a lot that you can say to blame it on particular things. I feel like once Kansas City got momentum going, it was more even. But that first half, it was all San Francisco.
Yeah. The defensively, there was all first half was definitely San Francisco, dude. There was a good chance. There was times in the game where I was like, dude, there's no way KC's coming back from this. And nope, I mean it happened. And again, that's why really I chose the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. I did. In the Let's Talk Sports.
That's why they lost.
That's why they lost.
Hey, right, the curse. The curse.
Is it me? Because I feel like the Super Bowl should play on like a open roof stadium. I don't know why the whole like being in a closed stadium. I don't know. I feel like it takes away from it. I feel like it should be like more grandeur, with like
open roof.
Yeah, open roof type of shit. I don't know. I felt like it just felt like any other game for me.
What are you, the Yankees or something? Like,
I don't know, dude. Like, I feel like it would have been like, I don't know, better vibes. I don't know, man.
Okay.
I just don't like that Vegas stadium. I just don't like it.
Oh, okay, that's all you got to say.
I mean, I thought that Vegas stadium looks beautiful. Like I want to.
It does, yeah, it's beautiful.
It's like top of the line, like fucking.
It's a beautiful Roomba. That's all it is. When we went to Vegas 2 years ago, and the airport, we were going through the McLaren Airport. It takes you a little bit to the side to through above the Allegiant Stadium, and then me and my fiance, that we look at it, I was like, hey, that looks like a giant Roomba. And that's all it is. It's like a giant Roomba, but it's a beautiful stadium though. From the outside, we didn't go inside, but the outside of it just looks pristine. Yeah. Like that's what an NFL stadium should look like.
Fuck the Raiders.
So, well, okay, you don't have to like the team, but the stadium itself is different though.
Right?
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Yeah. All right. So
generational hate for multiple teams.
So speaking of generational hate, V, and I want to bring this up because I've seen you on Twitter with this. What's the deal with Jacksonville?
So first of all, So first of all, Trevor Lawrence is a fraud. He's T fraud. He's not T law. He's T fraud.
T fraud.
Everyone said that T fraud was supposed to be generational, but at the end of the day, this dude, what does he do? He had 21 turnovers. He had 21 touchdowns and 21 turnovers. He's literally Jameson Winston before LASIK. That's what he is. I mean,
oh man.
I mean, there is nothing special about this guy. They spent over $260 million in free agency to put the pieces around him. Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, all these dudes. And now you have Jags fans saying, we don't have the right weapons. We didn't build around him. What else do you want? You literally overpaid for what you thought were the best weapons at the time. Evan Ingram had a career year in Jacksonville, right? So you had multiple players that had really good years last year, and now you're saying that all of a sudden they suck? No, I mean the problem is that Lawrence has not gotten that much better. He still overthrows receivers. He's not as accurate as, for example, like CJ Stroud, right? And so now you have Jags fans that are saying that that Stroud has to go through Jacksonville, right?
Oh, shut up.
What the hell is T-Law? Like, really, what do you have here? T-Law, T-Fraud? You like, in all reality, they probably have the worst quarterback in the division. We didn't see a ton from AR, but from the little that we saw, we know that, from Cam's words, he's a game changer. He can use his legs. He obviously needs to get some work on some defenses from college. We don't know yet from the NFL. But you have to imagine that even though he wasn't on the field, he's been working on the mental side of it, of learning defenses and stuff. That there's a reason why he was on the freak athlete list. And so I think when he comes back next year, he obviously has a cannon. You know that he can use his legs. He's going to have a year of NFL studying the other side. Shane Steichen is a hell of a coach, right? So I think AR is a better quarterback than T-Law. CJ Stroud, obviously, that's not even a question. And then you look at Levis. Levis had some flashes with no O-line whatsoever, with only one real receiver out there, with Tim Kelly as an OC. And the GM hating the head coach. I mean, he was in kind of like that whole Deshaun Watson. I know 2 times you got to bring him up today, but
I know, right? Yeah.
but he was in that kind of era where all that dysfunction that we had. Levis was in that type of scenario, and you saw that he had a 4-touchdown game. So you give him a line and some weapons, he's going to be better. So in all reality, when you look at it, Trevor Lawrence could easily be the worst quarterback in this division. And the Jags fans are saying that it's their time to get a Super Bowl. What? Privately, if you go on their Reddit, besides what they talk to us about, if you go on their Reddit, you will have fans saying, do we want to extend Trevor Lawrence? Is he the guy? But they...
Oh. Jackson harder than Mia Khalifa.
I didn't read it.
I read it.
Yeah. So that's my rant. The Jags, they don't know what they're doing, man. They obviously just got rid of their DC. They got a better DC, I think, but their OC's kind of screwed up. Doug Peterson, they are actually thinking whether he's on the hot seat. If they don't get to the playoffs this season, he's gone. And so, they're in disarray. Super Bowl, man, just try to get your foot in the playoffs because I don't think they are.
No, not even.
I don't see it either.
They can't. Yeah. They talk about, trying to getting through them to go to the playoffs. How did that work out this season?
It was theirs to lose.
99%
chance to make the playoffs since week 12. And how did that season end? Houston being division champs.
Exactly.
Losing to Ryan Tannehill's swan song game. Like, bro, come on.
Yeah. Maybe we should try actually getting to the playoffs before we could start talking shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's how I see it. All right. All right. I wanted to throw out some names really quick. I want to move on to so before we start with names that are out there right now that are floating around, I want to talk about the free agents just in the Texans roster. And I want us to think about hey, what are some names that we definitely should keep, and some names that we're like, oh yeah, no, I'm either glad he's gone or we don't need him, kind of a thing. Okay, so I'm gonna name just a few and see what you guys think. Okay, these are all the restricted free agents that we have coming off the Texans this season. Okay, we got Sheldon Rankins, Dalton Schultz, Derek Barnett, Jerry Hughes, Steven Nelson, Kaimi Fairbairn, Tier Tart, Eric Murray, Hassan Ridgway, George Font, Devin Singletary, Kareem Jackson, Cameron Johnson, or as we call him, Bill Burr, Noah Brown, Denzel Perryman, Trevier Thomas, Scott Quessenberry, Neville Hewitt, whatever. Hewitt, thank you. Dare Awundawale, Josh Jones, Adrian Amos, Jonathan Grenard, Michael Dieter, Chris Boyd, Charlie Heck, D'Angelo Ross, DJ Skyfe, and finally Keaton Sutherland. Okay. Now I know that's a lot to take in, of course. Any names for you guys kind of stick out? We'll start off with Rios that we should definitely make a priority to keep.
I think it's going to depend on a number of factors because there's a bunch of guys that I would like to keep, but just again, it's going to come down to the money. Top of the list, I would say, would be Jonathan Grenard. But again, if he wants more than $20 million a year, I see us getting outbid, man. I don't know if he takes a hometown discount because this is his chance to get the bag in. I don't know if he'll take a bit of a hometown discount. If they can get him between 15, 16 million a year, I'm all in. But if he wants more than 20, which he probably would get on the free agent market, that's gonna be hard to compete against. Okay.
Anybody else that you would like to keep on that roster?
Dalton Schultz as well. But again, with him, maybe a 2-year deal because it's solid, but he's not really like a game changer at tight end. But there's no real better options, and unless Brock Bowers falls to us at 23, there's not really an upgrade at tight end in the draft or in free agency. So we get him on a 2-year deal for the right price. I'm cool with that. And Singletary, I think you get Singletary on a 2-year deal, and you shouldn't have to break the bank with him because he's a great guy to have in the locker room, and he was great for us this season.
Do you think we could get somebody better at the halfback position?
Here,
he wouldn't be running back one. He'd be the complement backup running back.
Right.
I think you have to upgrade the running game. Because look what McCaffrey did for the 49ers. You got to get a running back like that. I don't see one in the draft, so you probably hit a free agency.
So I'm giving you guys the list really quick on there, whatever we got on. If you see any names that stick out to you guys, starting with Sheldon Rankins down or whatever.
So I would say for sure. I feel like Schultz was one of the better pickups that we got this past offseason. I feel like he was surprisingly solid for us. I don't know if it's more of the CJ Stroud effect that made him play so well, but like I feel like he was very clutch in a bunch of games that we had. He had some drop passes as well. Sometimes he tends to have like breaks for hands, but I feel like that's more continuity with the team, more chemistry with CJ. I feel like they would work out a very solid 1-2 punch between those two guys. Singletary I thought was pretty solid too. I would say probably him. As long as the money's right with these guys, I feel like the sky's the limit for this team. I feel like if we can, I don't know how I feel about Steven Nelson. I feel like
he's probably.
If you need me to scroll down, let me know. Sorry.
I feel like defensively is our biggest weakness, and we saw that against the Ravens in the playoffs. Like we just couldn't contain them. If they ran the ball, there was nothing that we could do to stop it. If they threw the ball, 50-50, like every single catch. So I don't know. I feel like if there's something out there that we could do as far as corners and safeties, we should go for that. I don't know what the market looks like for Steven Nelson. I don't know what the market looks like for Jerry Hughes, Grenard, and all those people. So I don't know. I feel like Schultz, Singletary offensively, if the money's right, let's keep them and then build around that with the draft. Hopefully we can fix the defense somewhat with that. I don't think this team is ready to take on a big contract from any big players and make a run for the Super Bowl next year. I feel like we're still a year or two away from that. So I wouldn't want to like overpay a guy right now for just to get eliminated on the second round.
Okay. And if you need me to scroll down, let me know. Okay.
Yeah. Well, first of all, for those that are watching, right, that you can see I have a Grenard jersey, so I'm a little biased because I've been a fan of him since 2021.
Yeah.
For me, it's an easy re-sign if it's between 15.5 and 18.25, which is really what Texans cap percent should be between. If it's over 18.25, you got to start thinking about it. And here's where I also think creative contract structure matters. Caserio so far hasn't really made a lot of creative structures, hasn't added a lot of void years, but he may have to start doing that. It's funny that Poppy brought up the fact that you don't think that we're in a Super Bowl window. And shameless plug, the episode tomorrow that we're doing with John McClain is all about, it's literally titled, Are the Texans in their Super Bowl window? I'll give you the spoiler. I think we are. And so I think too. So because of that, I think that we can make certain
depends on what kind of window we're talking about. Like if the window is the next 4 years, sure. But
I think the window
if you're thinking about next year, I'm not too sure.
I think the window starts in 2024 and then it goes on basically throughout his rookie contract, CJ Stroud's rookie contract. So the thing about it, and I'll tell you why I see that. Well, actually, let me answer this question first, and then we can go into that if you want.
Yeah.
But
sure.
So Grenard is, I think you sign him if the money's right. I think, if it's 18.25 max, you do it. If it's 18.5, 19, you do it. If it starts to get more and if it's not a creative deal, you're not doing a lot of void years, so you can spread that around. Then unfortunately, you got to let him walk. And I want him to be resigned. I think he's a huge, huge help to this D line. He in past, if you look at the statistics from ESPN, he is a leading edge rusher when it comes against the run. He's dominant against the run. 15 tackles for loss, not just 12.5 sacks. People only look at sack numbers. You got to look at the run. We were 29th against the run last year, and D'Amico, with Will Anderson's help and obviously Jonathan Grenard, we're able to be number 2. A large reason for that is Jonathan Grenard. People don't look just at the sack numbers. Dalton Schultz, I think we can do better. He didn't have a big contract this year. With incentives, he got 6.75. It's 6.25 here, and the guaranteed he got an extra $500,000. So we paid him less than $7 million, cheap. But he's going to want a multi-year, probably $10 million contract. And I think we go and we try to lure Noah Fant. I know some people don't understand why I'm saying that. Noah Fant is younger. He should be cheaper. He's faster. He has statistically outplayed Schultz he has less targets, but he has more yards, and he has 300 more yak yards than Schultz with less targets. He also is a better blocker. Now, he didn't start out that way. The first 3 years of his career in the NFL, he was actually a poor blocker. But now he's developed to the point where he's actually a better blocker than Schultz. So you think if you can get him for like $7-8 million, even a little more than we're paying Schultz right now, he would be an upgrade to Schultz. And I think you bring him here on a 1-year deal or even a 2-year deal or longer. I think the fact that he's younger would be helpful. However, I do think that CJ Stroud really likes Schultz, and that could play to the decision to bring Schultz back. Derek Burnett, it's a no-brainer. He helped us out when our edges were gone, when the D-line really suffered for injuries. Obviously, I think that's a no-brainer. He's going to be relatively cheap to bring back. Hughes, he's done. He should retire. Thank you for your service, but you're no longer really should be here. Steven Nelson, I think that he is in his own world. He wants to get paid $8-9 million a year. He thinks he's worthy of a 3-year contract, $8-10 million, and he's not. He did make big plays, don't get me wrong, but he did not play sound fundamental football every week. And he also, I don't think, is the culture guy you want moving forward. You don't want someone like that in the locker room. I think he's gone. He has a lot of pride. I spoke to Aaron Wilson when he came on the show, and he doesn't really think that Nelson's going to be staying. So I wouldn't really plan on him staying. Kaimi, easy peasy. He missed 1 field goal and 1 PAT. He's an easy to stay. Tier Tart, what did he do? Cost us a penalty in a game. He did nothing else. He can go. Eric Murray, believe it or not, I used to shit on the fact that we kept signing him. He made plays. He just got hurt really early on in the season, but he made plays when we had Ward out and Petrie out. So I say we re-sign him again. Now, I don't know what the contract necessarily will be, but I think he's worth bringing back for depth piece. Hassan Ridgeway, he played 1 game. I don't know how you can evaluate him. I think he's gone.
Yeah.
George Fant, I think he's gone. He already sent a tweet out saying, "Thank you, Houston. I'm gone." He wants to be a starter. He wants to get paid $8-9 million.
As he should.
Titus Howard's coming back. So he's gone. Devin Singletary, great RB2. I think you can get him for under $5 million. Solid RB2. Bring him back. No reason not to. Kareem Jackson, honestly, I have no clue. We didn't have him enough to really evaluate what he can do. So on as a depth piece, relatively cheap. Why not? Cameron Johnston, no brainer. You bring him back. He's one of the best punters in the league. Noah Brown is an interesting situation because he's had some monstrous games, and then he laid a goose egg and was hurt for the rest of the season. I think you bring him back if it's a cheap deal, not to be a starter slot the way he was this season. I think you bring him back to be a wide receiver 6. Put him at the end of your depth chart. If someone else gets hurt, he can go in and he can play a couple games. He's not a guy I don't think that's ever going to play a full season, but for a wide receiver 6, if you can get it for $3.5 million or so, or maybe a little less, do it. Denzel Paramount, thank you. Bye-bye. You're not Mike material. You're good against the run, but you're not good in coverage enough. So, you're out of there. Tyler Thomas, you need him for depth. We don't have enough depth in that secondary. Even if he's not a starter in the slot, you got to bring him back. We just don't even have a choice, in my opinion. Scott Quesenberry, no, he should have been back this year. Never mind next year. I never want to see another name with the end Quesenberry ever again. Ever again. Neville Hewitt, good special teams guy, solid. You don't really see his name a lot, but he makes plays on special teams. He's a good backup. Bring him back, cheap deal. Dari Angumbawale, my God, would we have won that game without his field goal? He's good a special teams guy. He's not that good of a running back. Cheap deal. Look, he's getting paid $1.5 million. Give him 1.75. Bring him back. It's not going to break the bank. Josh Jones, you need depth for the O line. And I believe we traded a 6th for him, right, or something.
We did, yeah.
He was like a lower,
So I mean, I don't think he's going to want all that much. I think you want him for you bring him out back here on a cheap deal. Adrian Amos, I mean, he didn't play too much, so I honestly I can't give you any real answer on that. Dieter, I mean, for a depth piece, sure, he's obviously not a starter. Scruggs is going to start over, be the center. So for a depth piece to bring Michael Dieter back, fine. I mean, he's getting paid peanuts, so you can bring him back for a depth piece. We know that O-line, you need a lot of depth. Look at what we had, happen here. Charlie Heck, I'm skipping Chris Boyd because honestly, I can't really give you a good evaluation. There wasn't too much for me to see of him. Charlie Heck, I think his career's done. He had a really bad injury in the offseason. He didn't even really from what I heard, he really didn't even know if he could even play football again. He came back and was horrible when he came back. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he retires. So I don't think he's coming back. And same with D'Angelo Ross's DJ Scurriff, the same with Boyd. There's not enough information. Ross did make one good special teams play. I don't know if that's enough. And yeah, the rest are just, cheap depth. I mean, you're talking 200,000 for Keaton. I mean, bring him back for depth. Scurriff, it's under $1 million, do you want that depth? It's less than $1 million. So, that's peanuts. But I just ranted about every single player there. So.
No, and that's fine. That's exactly what I was looking for on that one. So for me, I like Sheldon Rankins. Sheldon Rankins was good, but I guess it all depends on money also. Even though we do have a decent amount of cap, there's
if you smart about it though.
Yeah,
I think you could upgrade it for Rankins though for agency.
Yeah, you could probably upgrade. I would like to see him, but yeah, if you can upgrade over him for a cheap deal, that's fine. Same thing with Dalton. I think Dalton's going to want the bag, just like you guys said. And I hadn't thought about Font until you mentioned it, V. And statistically, yeah, it makes sense at that point. So I'm hoping that's if you're able to get him for a cheaper deal, or if you can keep Dalton for a cheaper deal, which is highly doubtful, then yeah, definitely I would take Dalton or whatever. But obviously, if Font is a better upgrade, for a cheaper deal, then obviously go with Font in that case. But at the end of the day, Brevin Jordan had some pretty decent highlights this season too at some point. So Brevin Jordan was pretty good. Maybe it's his time to shine. You don't know, right? I really did like Derek Barnett. Those last few games, Derek Barnett, we picked him up. I think it was from the Eagles, if I'm not mistaken. He trended up. Like he had 5 sacks at one point in the last in
last few weeks.
We got him. Yeah, the last few weeks. I liked him. So if we're able to bring him back for a little bit cheaper, then
I feel like the draft this year is going to be very interesting because
they
are really going to focus on the defensive side of the ball, which it looks like we need the most amount of help, especially on the secondary. But one of the comments that you flashed a little earlier, Chris Jones in free agency. I mean, that's a guy that comes into that D line and completely changes the game for us.
He's a game wrecker.
So is that a name that Houston should be looking at? Because I feel like the market is going to go high for him, especially the way he played.
One person I would overpay for, it'd be him, because he, like you mentioned, he's a game wrecker. Like you saw how he changed the complexity of that game. Like they were afraid to run the ball.
He's a game wrecker. He's a game wrecker for sure. So let's finish this one. They're definitely going to go into the names. Okay. So Jerry Hughes, no. Steven Nelson, no. I don't think that I don't see those. Kaimi Fairbairn, you have to bring him back. He's been so consistent for you. Tier Tart, no. Eric Murray, maybe for depth, but not for a big price. I would say no on Hassan Ridgeway. George Font is definitely not coming back. I would bring Devin Singletary back, not for like a big deal, but just to have for depth or whatnot, because he did pretty decent. Yeah, running back too. Kareem Jackson, it's TBD, to be determined, really. There wasn't really much on him.
Bring him back.
Bring him back.
For the memes.
For the memes.
Just do it.
Cameron Johnson, yes, definitely. Noah Brown, I think I do too. I think there should be an upgrade over them out in free agency, but if you can get them,
or the draft, really.
Yeah. Denzel Perriman, no. Injuries, and obviously, like V said, not a Mike linebacker for sure. Travier Thomas for depth. Scott Quesenberry, no. Neville Hewitt, no, not really. Owundawale, backup kicker. No, I mean, pretty good special teams, like V said. So yeah, definitely. Josh Jones, maybe. Yeah, I would say Adrian Amos. I didn't, he was there for, to help out or whatever, but didn't see too much of him. Jonathan Grenard, I would say yes, just like you guys said, for a cheaper price. Not too much over, what did you say, 20, right, V, or something like that?
18.25, 18.5 is really what cap is saying, Texans cap is saying. But I'm saying if it goes up to right around 19 or even 20, reaching that 20, but past that, I think you're going to have to watch.
Not after 20, agreed. Michael Dieter, I don't think they'll bring him back. But either way for me, Chris Boyd, I didn't see much of him either, like V said. Charlie Heck is, I would say he's done too. The injuries are just D'Angelo Ross, DJ Scuff, and Keaton Sutherland. I didn't see much of them to also evaluate, like V said. So at that point, I don't see anything, to be honest with you, from those. So honestly, those are the ones that stand out for me. But yeah, that's for me. That's who I would think. So now I want to head into, okay, I'm gonna put the list up of free agents or whatever, and if you guys see one that stick out, tell me why you guys would think, and we'll end it obviously with that segment. Why do you guys think, hey, this would definitely be a good fit for the for our Texans or whatnot? So let me share this one right here. All right. Yeah, you'll see those names? Okay. So Kirk Cousins starts it off.
Oh, definitely.
I'm the man.
Can we filter our QBs?
Yeah. Let's
let's go a lot shorter.
Yeah, let's go with statuses, positions. Let's want to look at running back first.
Sure.
Yeah, let's go with running backs update. All right.
So we already have a top 5 QB, so we don't need to look at QBs.
Yeah. So we got, Derrick Henry. Let's look at the top 10. All right. Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler, Cordell Patterson, Gus Edwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ezekiel Elliott, Devin Singletary, Clyde Edwards, Hilaire, I guess.
Claire.
Yeah, Claire. And then Declare, yeah, and then DeAndre Swift over here. So let's go with those.
Let's get Swift.
Swift, DeAndre Swift, right there. Yeah. V. Well, sorry, Rios. I'm sorry, I was going in order. Rios, any of those names would you like to add to this?
Add to those?
I mean, in general, whatever you see here on these top ones, and then I'll scroll down again.
After the team. So after this team, Saquon. Like I said, you saw what McCaffrey did for the 49ers.
Yeah.
Change that whole dynamic of that offense. And you need a guy like that. People are gonna, say the injuries, this and that. Remember, McCaffrey played like maybe 12 games in 3 seasons. Like he was getting that injury riddled, status or whatnot. But look at him, 2 years with the 49ers. Hasn't missed a game. So if you can get a guy that you can line up in the slot, he can catch out of the backfield, he can get you those tough yards. Like he's a game changer at running back. If you can get him, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what the contract looks like. I mean, if you can get him for like 10, 11 million a year.
Oh,
that 2 or 3 years.
That would be good. That would be awesome.
All day. Yeah. I wouldn't go over 13 million.
Okay, a year, right?
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's under 13, sign me up. Because he's the most on that whole list. He's the most dynamic running back. He's going to change the complexity of your entire offense.
So if Saquon isn't available, let's say the Giants get him or some other re-sign him or another team gets him or whatever. Is there another running back that sticks out to you from this list? I can scroll down if you need me to.
From that list, I would say DeAndre Swift.
Okay.
But again, with him, it's the injuries. But when he was playing with the Lions and with the Eagles, like man, he looked like a difference maker at running back. It's just him staying healthy, and there's not enough of a sample size to see if he can actually do it or not. But
okay.
but as far as cost-effective options,
for hella cheap.
Yeah, I was gonna say as a cost-effective, option, that would be a good one as well.
What about Josh Jacobs though?
See, that nigga's throwing a lot too.
The thing with him is he's a downhill runner. I don't know if I feel like he'll be like Dameon Pierce in this offense. I don't know if he can fit into a zone running scheme. Because we all thought Dameon Pierce would, be able to just, pick up this playbook right away and make those adjustments. He was returning kicks. He turned into Steve Slade 2.0.
He really did.
Which is ridiculous because I love the way he played in his first year.
Oh, of course.
But
and now he's going to be fighting for a roster spot. Especially if they draft a running back in the draft and they sign him for agency, he's going to be fighting for a roster spot.
Yeah. All right. Poppy, any of these names stick out to you? And if you need me to scroll down, I will.
No, Barkley would be the main target if we could get anybody. That name's been thrown around ever since the regular season ended.
Yeah.
Again, if we can get it for less, I would say 12 million. Like that would be awesome. I like Jacobs. I feel like I don't know how he would adjust to the Miko system, but after this year, I feel like the Miko can only get There's like the ceiling and the floor of this team has risen incredibly. So I feel like next year we're just gonna get a lot more from the running backs. Obviously, if we bring Singletary back, that would be awesome.
Right.
I'm looking at a lot of people have been throwing the Derrick Henry name like on Twitter. I'm like, get the fuck out of here with that.
Then you're gonna love my answer.
Tony, like if you want to squeeze like the last few drops of fucking running back that he's got in him, you do it if you're like a real like for sure contender, which I don't think we are at the moment. Tony Pollard wouldn't be a bad one. I feel like he is overlooked in this league. But again, if you're gonna pay him like 10, 12, 13 million, you might as well just go for Barkley. So besides those,
Tony Pollard ran for 1,005 yards, right, this season.
Yeah, like he's like when we're talking about running backs in this league, a lot of people don't even bring him out, probably because he's on the Cowboys, and the Cowboys fucking suck ass. But DeAndre Swift would be pretty good as well. I like the way he plays. I feel like he's just a better Singletary in a way. But if I had to get my pick, I would go with Barkley.
Okay, all right. So, and if you didn't get Barkley, would you go with Swift then? DeAndre Swift?
Swift or Pollard, like I said, like those two.
Pollard, okay.
Like Pollard probably second pick, and then Swift.
Gotcha.
If you can't get anybody else.
Okay, I can see that. V, what's your take on this one?
So, I mean, I already said Devin Singletary. I think it's a no-brainer. I think you get him for $4 to $5 million. So I think that's an easy no-brainer. RB2. The reason why I say Derrick Henry, listen, he proved me wrong. I thought he was going to be done really for 2 years in a row. I'm like, he's done. The dude. Let me put this in perspective. Saquon Barkley, when you talk about injuries, he's missed 26% of all games. And, he doesn't necessarily get the rock a ton. Now, obviously, he's a huge part of the receiving game. Derrick Henry sometimes have 30, 35 carries a game. He's missed only 10% of available games in his entire career.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reality is, if you can get 1 or 2 years out of him, I think that's all you want. I don't think you're selling for a big, deal. I don't think you need to. He's never been the guy that says, I want to get paid the most. In his entire career, he's never been that way, even when he was the leading rusher in the league. I don't think that's what he's looking for. Most guys, I'm telling you right now, most guys want the money. I don't know if that's actually Henry. I think now he's over in Tennessee and he's rank chasing a little. And I never say this about guys, about saying, oh, they're going to give you a hometown discount or they're going to give you a discount for a ring, because I don't think 99.9% of players, they want the money first. Everything else is secondary. With Derrick Henry, what I think is that I think he knows that he legit has 1 or 2 years left. And to him, he has never cared about getting the most money ever in his career. So why would he start now kind of deal? I think you bring in Henry because he works in every system. I don't care what you have. He works in every system. The Titans had an incredibly disgusting O-line, and still had like 1,400 yards from scrimmage or more. I mean, like, the guy's a freaking animal. Yes, we were able to stop him because of D'Amico Ryans has a great run-stopping defense, but almost no one else has. And so I think that you bring him on. I understand why people want Saquon Barkley. I can understand it. Leo wants him. Josh wants him. Like my two co-hosts, they did a whole video about him. And listen, they made some great arguments. You think of him more of a slot that can play running back as opposed to a running back first. And if you think of it that way, well, then you're not using him to get 25 to 30 carries in a game. You're using him to get 10 carries in a game and, 10 receptions, 10 catches. That makes a lot more sense. That way you don't have to worry about him from an injury perspective. But I will say this, for the most part, if I have a shot, I would rather want to draft a running back in the draft, get someone that's dirt cheap, that's young, that you can mold into whatever you want. If you know me on Twitter, you know that I want Blake Corum. And I think that's the dude that would be perfect for the system, because we are 16th when it comes to red zone conversions. And that, and you want to improve that immediately. You get Blake Corum, who leads the country in red zone touchdowns. Right, he's the best back in the country for red zone touchdowns. So you do that, you immediately fix one of the issues on offense.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: how much would you be willing to pay Henry for 1 or 2 years?
$8 million a year. I think you can get him for $8 million and give him incentives on top of that.
I mean, if you could do that,
if you can do it for $8 million, then let's.
You got me convinced. You got me convinced.
because if he wants, I wouldn't pay more than 9.5, 10 million for the last year of Derrick Henry. I'd much rather get Swift and like a cost effective, or just go to the draft and get somebody and then use that money, put that money elsewhere.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though, and I hope you guys realize we've been talking about free agents we're going to sign. Just because we pick up these free agents doesn't mean that closes our draft board. We can get Derrick Henry and still draft the running back, right?
Yeah, because but if we get Derrick Henry and you draft a running back, he's not going to get touches. You're going to give the ball to Henry, and that's
But you're also listen. You're drafting for two things. You're drafting because I think your Super Bowl window's now. So you're drafting to win now, and you're also drafting for future. You got to do both. You can't just say, because the minute you do that, how are good teams structured? They're structured by not just winning in free agency, but drafting for the future. Look at Green Bay. They planned ahead of time. Now they got another quarterback, 3 in a row. If you plan for the future,
it's too early to tell. It's too early to tell. I hate that the people are like, oh, Jordan Love, he's like the third coming of breath. Fuck out of here. Like he played like a solid 5 games. I know Davis Mills had a few good games in his first fucking year.
I mean,
Davis Mills to Jordan Love, not a good comparison, dude.
Fucking Jordan Love.
The only thing they have in common is that number. That's it.
He had 36 touchdowns.
Jordan Love.
What you mean?
I don't know, man. It's too early enough for me. Like they're losing their minds.
He had 36 touchdowns throwing to Uber drivers. Come on, bro. Give the man a little credit.
I know. And the thing about it is that the whole thing is that if you look at the beginning of the season, the development that you saw from the beginning of the season to the end of the season is mind blowing.
No,
this is his first year as a starter. Next year he should be godlike.
Nobody was expecting anything from Green Bay. I feel like they
Agreed.
I don't feel like teams were going full on against them. Next year they are, and on that division they're not even the best team. I don't think so.
No, the Lions are.
Yeah,
Lions,
so we'll see. We'll see. I feel like we need to see next year. At the end of next year, I'll be able to pick a side on whether or not I'm on the Jordan Love bandwagon.
Okay.
Fair enough. But my point
just like the whole Purdy thing, just like the whole Brock Purdy thing. Everybody was calling him elite coming into the year. I was like, oh, all right, fucking hold your horses.
He went to the Super Bowl, man.
He's still not elite.
Not enough. It wasn't enough.
But he's a damn good quarterback.
And he had the Avengers on offense, and he still lost. It's like Thanos winning. I suppose it's Thanos, except he won this time.
He definitely looks better than Jimmy G did at the fucking.
Well, because he can extend plays with his feet. Because Jimmy G was a statue in the pocket.
Yeah.
In this day and age, you got to be able to extend plays with your feet.
If you're definitely gonna compare Jimmy G to Brock Purdy, I'd take Brock any day than Jimmy G. Yeah,
it's like Tom Brady. Tom Brady wasn't the most athletic, but he could maneuver enough in the pocket to extend plays. Jimmy G couldn't do it.
Jimmy G can extend plays.
Dude, honestly, every time I saw Tom Brady fucking run out of the pocket, I felt like time slowed down.
Right.
Like that man is running with fucking.
He had the time.
Fucking dirt.
He had the time. He had the time stone, just slow down time. Just enough to get the first down.
That's what it was. Yeah. All right. For me, I'm gonna choose. If I were to choose, I'm gonna go with the. For me, the obvious would be Saquon, just because I feel like this particular type of D'Amico Wright. This Bobby Slovic offense. I feel like we need a very fluid, almost Arian Foster-esque type of running back that we have here, and I think Saquon would be the guy for it to fit that scheme. My second, though, I'm going to agree with V. I would take Derrick Henry if Saquon is not available, because Derrick Henry.
Out of all of these guys, it depends on the money the most is Derrick Henry.
Well, I mean, of course, yeah. This is not even doing the draft. This is just free agents that are roaming around. I think, it just depends on the money. But if I were to have, if I were to choose these guys, if Saquon isn't available, I'm going to go with Derrick. And then finally, if Derrick is not available, then I'd definitely go with DeAndre Swift or whatnot. But what did anybody else think about? Just wondering on your thoughts here. Austin Eckler. Does Austin Eckler sound appealing to anybody here? Just wondering.
He does, but listening to Jim Harbaugh, I think he really wants him back, and I think they're going to do what they have to keep him.
Okay,
like,
just making sure.
Yeah, Saquon's 50-50. I don't think he wants to be franchise tagged, and they might let him test the market because they're gonna have to rebuild because they overpaid big for Daniel Jones.
The Cowboys fans saying take Tony Pollard, please.
That's why I say Tony Pollard because like their own fans don't want him because like he's a great running back too. He's not a running back one.
Correct.
He's like he's a younger Singletary. Really is.
Yeah.
No, that's a good
comparison. Yeah, I'll take that. All right. Another position I want to talk about real quick because I know we're probably gonna have to go shortly. Let's go with wide receivers. A lot of people were throwing names out there for wide receivers. Some people would argue, hey, no, we already have a good receiver core or whatnot. But overall, let's look at these first few receivers here, from Mike Evans all the way to DJ Chark back here. Okay,
Odell for the memes.
Yeah, take Odell for the memes.
Odell for the memes.
No, he's dating Kim Kardashian now. We don't need the Kardashian curse here. No,
yeah.
no,
That's right. He is dating Kardashian. All right. And you don't want the drama with his dad too. His dad would be all over it as well. So from Mike Evans all the way to DJ Chark over here. Rios, choose two just for time's sake. Your top one, and then if you would take a number two. Again, this is not including obviously any draft or anything like that. This is just free agency.
So me, I probably might go a different route than most people. Everyone's gonna want to say, like Mike Evans or a bigger name receiver. Like I don't think we need it. I think we're pretty set with Nico and with Tank on the outside. I think you need to look more at a slot wide receiver. So I'm gonna go Curtis Samuel. He kind of fits the Debo role a little bit. Like he could line up. He's great at running the ball. He's great in the slot, and he's good in the red zone. I think that a guy like that will really complement this offense. Like I said, you don't need a wide receiver one. Like you have Tank and Nico at 1A, 1B. So if you get a slot guy that you can also line up in the backfield, that'd be the ideal wide receiver for me. If he's not available, I would say Hollywood Brown, a guy that can stretch the defense. Because again, you can also line him up in the slot as well. Those would be my two picks.
Okay, no problem. Let's go with Papi. Out of those names, which ones would be for you the ones that you would like? The top two names.
So I'll go the opposite route. I feel like Mike Evans wants to be in this team, and I feel like he's not going to ask for the fullback to come over here. So if we can get it for a decent amount of money, I wouldn't mind having him here. Again, I'm not looking at these moves like, oh, this is going to make us Super Bowl contenders. I would love for him to be here. T. Higgins is a name that I've seen thrown around. I feel like, with Tank and the rest of our wide receiver core, we're pretty set on that. There's not a lot of names that like scream at me, man. Like, if we can bring Noah Brown back, I will be happy, honestly. I feel like we like Rio said earlier, I feel like we go to the draft for the next couple of guys in the wide receiver core. This team is very young, man. This team, and it's only going to get younger with the draft. So if we cannot bring Mike Evans for like a few years, I'm not really tripping. I'm not trying to throw money at any of these guys in particularly, except Odell for the memes.
That's it. V, if you had now any of these names here that if you don't see a name here, you could obviously throw your own name.
Just make one up.
Up. John Doe.
No,
any of these names stick out to you?
I agree with Rios that what we're missing is a slot. We have our two outside receivers. A lot of people think that Tank would just be good in the slot because of size. And frankly, that's what I thought right after the draft. You look at a guy that's 5'8", is the smallest guy on the football field every single time. Damn. He's actually 5'8". Yeah. I know they try to make him like on the website and stuff. They have him at, I think they have him at 6 or 5.
They have him stand on a box.
He's actually 5'8".
I stood next to him.
You were shorter than me. That's all I know.
Yeah. He's 5'8", 165. So you would think, oh, that guy's got to be in the slot. But they played him 70% wide, and they did that for a reason. It's because he can beat press. And so if you can do that, you don't want to change his development. And obviously, Nico's a good outside receiver. So what are you missing? You're missing the slot. Noah Brown, most of the time, when he played slot, when you had all three receivers out there. So what you're doing is you're replacing Noah Brown. Now, my name would be Gabriel Davis, even though he plays wide most of the time. But I think you can push him inside. And the thing that's low risk, he's not going to want a ton of money. And I think you get him at a pretty relatively cheap price, so you can get Gabriel Davis. I think you also bring Noah Brown for very, very cheap. And then obviously you have, if you're obviously going to draft a receiver as well, then you have him fight him out in camp. I think in the draft, you've got McCourty, you've got Roman Wilson, you've got some really good slot options in the 3rd and 4th round that you can get. So I don't think you got to go get a big name like Mike Evans, like then pay him $25 million. It's not
right.
Even if you said, all right, I'm going to take a hometown discount and you could pay me 18, I'm still going to say no. Thank you, but no, it's unnecessary. We have our 2 outside receivers. We're missing a slot. We need more things. Like I think we need, a better running back, a better tight end. We can get a receiver in the 3rd round. We don't need a premium wide receiver just because he's a brand name.
Yeah. I'm gonna agree with Rios and V on that one too. When I talk to Rios, I always talk about, we definitely need a slot receiver. I feel like you guys said, we do have our 2 outside guys. Don't get me wrong, Mike Evans would seem great to me. I was very big on Mike Evans, but as I don't know if y'all saw Cody Johnson, I think made a really good comparison on why it's not a good idea to have Mike Evans on here. Yes, I think it would be great for people to see the hometown guy come back. It would definitely sell jerseys, that's for sure. And nobody's using the number 13 jersey right now ever since Tank left it to go to number 3. So in hindsight, it would look like it would make sense, right? But I like you guys said, it's not worth overpaying him that much or whatnot.
Just go to
and you can go draft especially if you're looking for a slot guy. You could go draft out of these names. I would like Taylor Boyd here. But again, if it's not needed, then you don't really have to go out. But Tyler Boyd to me sticks out. I do like the Taylor Boyd, and of course Noah Brown. I did like Noah Brown. I think there were some games where there wasn't some consistency from him, but on the days that he was on, boy, was he on. That became a weapon. That was a weapon. So if you can get Noah Brown, obviously Tyler Boyd, I like him, but if you can get Noah Brown back, for a decent price on cap, then great. Also, I mean, we're also going to see what John Mechie's made of. Maybe, this time towards the end we saw a few little.
Not about Mechie.
Yeah, a few small, a little bit more receptions from him, but obviously nothing big, not a big splash or anything. But you never know how he's going to come back. Maybe year 2, will actually. I know he's been there longer, but I'm saying maybe year 2 of officially playing
year 2
might actually, be helpful. So you never know if it can be the John Mechie. Real says it all the time. If it can be the John Mechie that Alabama had, hey, we don't have to worry about that, right?
Exactly. So. But again, it's unknown and free agency. Again, free agency happens for training camp. So you sign a guy that Mechie beats him in training camp, so be it. But if not, at least you have, sign someone to complete that role.
Yeah. Is there any other position on the offensive side that you guys want to look at?
Not offensively. I want to look at
defense.
Let's look at corners. Would y'all be okay with corners?
Well, there's 2 positions I'm looking at. Defensive tackle. Defensive tackle and corner.
Yeah, defensive tackle. Let's look at corners first.
Okay, corners.
Because those guys love to get paid.
Yeah. Okay. All right, here we go. So we range them from games played, snaps, tackles, interceptions.
Yeah, certified interceptions.
Interceptions. All right.
Surprised they don't have one by PBUs.
Oh wow, Steven Nelson.
Steven Nelson. Oh, whoops. All right, did not. 1 second.
You fucking idiot.
Useless. You have one job.
Jalen Johnson, Kenny Moore.
Hey, at least I know how to work this thing real. Shut up. All right. Steven Nelson's at the top. Steven Nelson all the way, as far as interceptions go, Steven Nelson all the way to Amik Robertson. Okay. Any of these names stick out for you guys? Rio. I started with you first. So Steven Nelson all the way to Amik Robertson.
I'm going to go with the name that's not on this list.
Yeah.
Jair Alexander.
Okay.
There's rumblings he wants out of Green Bay. If you have a chance to get him, I make that phone call. You can get a top 3 corner in the prime of his career. That's a no-brainer.
What do you think you'll get? You have to send their way?
Oh man. Honestly, I'd be okay getting our first rounder because it's a low pick, and they're probably going to go corner anyway. And he's still, again, the prime years of his career.
How old is he now?
He's like 25, 20. Like he's in his mid-20s. Like he's still very, very young. He's in his athletic prime right now.
That's
So
not
the question
that's not
though is,
a bad
would you?
call.
I'm sorry.
No,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I was to say, would you really rather have him or Kool-Aid? Because you can get Kool-Aid at 23.
I mean, who has the higher upside, Kool-Aid or Jair? And Jair's the top 3 corner right now.
I understand. I mean, you would have to pay him, obviously, and very soon as well. So I would think that you get Kool-Aid. I mean, there's also a chance that Nate Wiggins could drop. There's also a chance that there's a few corners that could come to us. You got not Terran Armstead. Damn it, someone that sounds like Terran Armstead, but it's not. That's not exactly his name in the draft.
My example, my dream scenario for corners, like if we're going draft, would be Mitchell or Wiggins, either one of those 2 guys. But I honestly think they're going to be gone by like pick 15.
Yeah, by the time we get there.
Corner's a premium position, and teams are going to draft them early. That's why I was looking outside of free agency. If you have a chance to get Alexander, I'd go that route. But if he's not available, I would say Jalen Johnson.
Okay.
All right, Poppy. Any of these names here, or if there's a name that you don't see?
No,
I
was gonna say Jalen Johnson is the only one that I'm looking at that isn't like past his prime and he can still like deliver. If we can get him, if we can get him for fairly cheap, because I mean, you look at some of the bigger names on there, Micah Hyde and stuff. Like those guys are like past it. You might as well keep Steven Nelson if you're going for one of those guys. Jalen Johnson, he's young, he can still produce. Again, maybe this is another position that we go to the draft for. I don't think we throw him in this position. Yeah,
exactly. And Rio said it, I think, by then, the top corners that you're looking for are most likely going to be gone by the time we get there.
Yeah. Like B said, our most likely candidate at corner is going to be, Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama, which I would not be. I'm not opposed to at all.
Right.
It's just
that Alabama connection too.
Because I'm thinking a little outside the box. If you have a chance to get Jair Alexander, top 3 corners prime, I mean, make the call, Nick. But if not, hey, you got options.
Well, how many years left on his contract?
I think he has like.
Because
I don't know if he has to get paid. I don't know if he has to get paid next year or the year. I know it's a short window.
Okay.
But he does want out of Green Bay. Like based off his last Instagram post, like seems like he wants out of Green Bay.
Yeah.
Because he got benched for disciplinary reasons. We know how that goes sometimes. Like,
so did Steven Nelson, remember? And then he talked he talked shit about our Nick Casario's clothing, and then we thought he was gone. But hey,
he got paid. But with Jair, I mean, he's still under contract. They're not gonna give him a raise. So it's just we'll see what happens. But
yeah,
that's the dream scenario.
Right. So Poppy, you said Jalen Johnson. Anybody else, or is that it for you?
No, that would be it for me, honestly.
Okay. V, what about you, bro?
Snead. I mean, you saw what he did even yesterday. So the thing is, are they going to sign back both Chris Jones and Snead? Which one are they going to pick?
Right.
If they pick Chris Jones, then Snead may be actually out there. So I think you have an option, right? I mean, all 4 of us are talking about Chris Jones or Snead. I mean, like I don't know if Kansas City can sign both of them because he's going to want 22 million.
Yeah, Jones, he's going to want.
I mean, Snead's going to want 18 or so as well. I mean, you're talking about 40 million easy between those 2 dudes.
Yeah,
they can't sign both.
So they're going to have to decide. So you potentially could pick one of them up. If they pick Chris Jones, you could get Snead.
All right, agreed. So is that the only one, Snead, or do you see anybody else on this list that you might like?
I mean, I love Jalen Johnson, but I just don't think that.
Look what Elantra has.
Sorry.
And what Corolla.
I'll take the sound off of this one. Wow. Gave me a Toyota.
Was that an ad? Toyota?
Yes,
it was a Toyota ad. I'm like, hold on, y'all. Y'all not paying me for this. Give me 1 second. There you go. All right. Going back to...
Hey,
I'm just kidding.
Hey, I drive one.
I'll drive one.
I drive one.
Yeah, that's what you give them the ads for.
just because you can't afford it. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
No, you're right.
I was like, damn, now I feel bad.
What about D tackles? Can we look at D tackles?
He drives a day. Don't feel bad.
So I would say, yeah, like V said, if L'Jarius Sneed is available, I'd say you pick him up. He was completely amazing yesterday against the 49ers or whatnot. So I would say L'Jarius Sneed definitely, if he's available. If obviously they can't, the Kansas City Chiefs can't pay both. If they pick up Chris Jones, you pick up Sneed. If they can't pick up Sneed, you pick up Chris Jones. It's almost like a vice versa kind of thing, you know?
Right.
So
I think
it's
they're going to go for Chris Jones.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to go for him.
And if not, then I'd agree with you, Poppy, on this one. Jalen Johnson is a good pick for me. So I would say Jalen Johnson or L'Jarius Sneed for sure. Next up, you guys were wanting hold on.
defensive tackle.
Yeah,
Defensive tackle.
There you go.
Okay. What do we want to look for? Sacks?
Tackles. No, QB hits. Let me look at that.
QB hit.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Where's that?
What the weekend?
All right. So now we got, these are the names that we got so far. All right. I've been starting with Rios. Poppy, your choice first now.
Christian Wilkins doesn't look bad on there. Obviously, Chris Jones will be a game changer for us. Can you go down a little bit?
Yeah.
Let's see what else is on there. Okay, yeah, I'm Benito. Fuck out of here. I'm on what? No. No, go up.
But,
I feel like Wilkins or Jones would be great assets to this team. Obviously, Chris Jones is going to win the bag. Wilkins probably too, but I feel like these guys are going to go for big money. But if you can get one of those, honestly, a good D tackle can make a difference in your defense. It can completely turn it on its head.
Last night.
Yeah, honestly, and like, you know, if we in theory go through to the draft for wide receiver, corners, safeties, and all this stuff, if you're gonna throw money at something, you know, rather than other than running backs or whatever, go for a D tackle. I feel like Chris Jones or Wilkins would be perfect for this team.
okay. V, what about you, bud?
There's a lot of names in here that really, it all really depends on how much money they want.
Yeah.
Like in terms of performance, I mean, Justin Madubuike would be excellent. I think that you saw what he was able to do with the Ravens. Something that, I mean, I hate to keep plugging away, but I'm sorry, I'm going to plug away because we just released this video today about Madubuike. And, you know, one of the things that Leo and Josh said about Madubuike is one of the cool things is that he's versatile. You can not just play him at defensive tackle. You can actually push him outside as well. So you can push him at edge. So he isn't just a 3-tech. You know, he can literally play 5. So at that point, you can have an incredibly versatile player out there. The question is cost. If you have Madubuike, you're likely not going to be able to sign Grenard unless you somehow come up with some creative contract way of keeping Grenard and paying Madubuike. Chris Jones, obviously, I can't talk enough about him. He was one of the guys I wanted early on in the season.
Yeah.
The guy with 70% of his reps. It's unheard of. And again, like you saw what he did yesterday. Christian Wilkins, another amazing dude. And again, DJ Reader, we should never let him go.
Yes.
You know, so like there's multiple guys that I would want on here, and a lot of it just really depends on price. Because if I had my way and price was not an issue, it'll be Jones number 1, Madubuike number 2. But, but obviously with contracts and all that stuff, now you could say, could you quote unquote settle for DJ Reader? He'll be great. He's an upgrade over Sheldon Rankins. Quick note on Sheldon Rankins before I continue. I know a lot of people look at stats, and I understand that stats, you got to look at everything, right? But Sheldon Rankins, one of the reasons why he has 6 sacks is that in the game against the Bengals, he had 3 sacks. Why did he have 3 sacks? Because he was going against a guard that sucked. Yeah. And they decided not to double team him at all. So he was basically beating one dude and was able to get after a guard that was horrendous. I don't know why they did that on the offense. That was their issue. But that's not something that you can really credit a lot to Sheldon Rankins, because that's a mistake on the Bengals offense. And so in reality, I really say that Sheldon Rankins had an okay season. He did not have a great season stats-wise. It looks amazing because of that one game. So I just want to throw that in perspective for anyone that's sticking why I'm saying that I'll be okay if Sheldon Rankins doesn't come back.
All right. Rios, what's your take on this one? What are some names that you actually that stick out to you?
So I've always been a big proponent of not overpaying in free agency. But if there's one guy you want to overpay, you're gonna have to outbid Kansas City for Chris Jones. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the one person I wouldn't mind overpaying, but
and I feel like that's that guy that they're gonna go after. I feel like they're gonna let the corner walk.
Yeah, same here. I think dream scenario would be Chris Jones. If you could outbid Kansas City, I would get into a bidding war with them. But if not, Madubuike would be my second choice.
Yeah,
because we saw what he did against us. Like he was unblockable. He was unblockable against us.
Yeah. For me, I would say realistically, of course, Chris Jones or Justin Madubuike for sure. I mean, if we had the cap and all that for it, but honestly, from at this point, dude, I wouldn't mind bringing a DJ Reader and Rios. You brought up a point a while back. It was, well, now that he's got that injury, it might actually bring his stock a little bit down. Also, it might bring a little bit of price on him.
He's going to miss a good chunk of the season.
Exactly. So that's another reason. But if once he comes back, I mean, if you get him for the right price, then why not, right? He was, and I agree with V. You should have never let that guy walk. He was.
Thanks, O'Brien.
Huh?
Thanks, Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, thanks, Bill O'Brien. Yeah, that guy should have stayed. Sorry, my dogs are going crazy. He should have stayed. I like the DJ Reader pickup, but for sure, I'd like to have Sheldon Rankins back. Also, he did great stuff for us as well. But for sure, out of all this, Christian Wilkins is fine as well. So if we couldn't get like either Justin Madubuike or Chris Jones, then I would definitely, yeah, DJ Reader might miss some, but that would be a good signing for me, or even Christian Wilkins as well. I would take any of those. All right, and one last position before we end it. Any other position you guys want me to check out real quick?
Kickers,
middle linebacker.
Kickers. That's right. Middle linebacker.
Middle linebacker. Yeah. If it's an option, if not, just linebackers in general.
Okay. Linebacker outside or inside? Let's go with inside.
Inside. We need a Mike linebacker.
Yeah. Okay. So y'all want to base it off of QB hits or sacks? Or interceptions? Doesn't matter.
Go for sacks.
Sacks. Okay.
Devontae David, Bobby. Obviously.
Bobby Wagner, Patrick Queen, Devin White.
Right. Devin White would be nice.
Okay. Josie. Nathan Lyman. Okay. All the way down to.
Wait, can you look at interceptions now, real quick?
Yeah.
So it is Devin White, top one. Okay.
No. And then we can look at. Do we look at QB hits? No.
Well, fucking Devin White is the top
Devin
one.
White, sacks, tackles.
Bobby Wagner. I don't want somebody too old.
All right, so let's go with okay. So at this point, we'll just leave it here or whatever. But you could also read off of this. All right, let's start off with B on this one. Any of these names stick out to you, or is there somebody else that you would like to have on here?
Honestly, on this list, I would first of all, like I already said, I would get rid of Denzel Perryman. I would think that right now, I would not trust this list. I know a lot of people are talking about Patrick Queen.
Right.
The thing is, you have Madubuike out there, right? When you have someone like that, your linebackers have an easier job. When you already have your defensive tackles out there and stuff like that. They also move around a little bit, and he's also going to want over $20 million. I would not pick up Patrick Queen. I know a lot of people are talking about him. Shaq Leonard is probably going to be one of my favorites on this list. I think that you can potentially get him for cheap or cheaper than the rest. And that doesn't stop you from drafting one for the future as well. Even, if he gets injured and whatnot, and obviously for the future, probably on this list, I'm going to say Shaq Leonard. I wish there was more names that honestly that I really wanted, but from a middle linebacker position right now, as it sits right now, I would make Blake Cashman the middle linebacker, and then, and then see who you can get in the draft. That's really what I would do.
Okay.
I don't think honestly that you can really get who you really want from what D'Amico wants from free agency.
Yeah. All right, Poppy.
I'm looking at Patrick Queen. I agree with a lot of what V just said, but you know, if you're looking at just pure stats, he looks like he would fit right into what we're trying to do here.
One quick note, and interrupt you, I'm sorry, but he also plays a lot on the weak side, man, which is where Christian Harris plays. So
Yes,
if you get him,
that's another-
you are going to be duplicating a lot because he only had 81 snaps at Mike, 81 snaps the entire season. So he's not a true Mike linebacker. They move him around a lot.
I'm not gonna lie, man. Like I feel like free agency this season is not as crazy on the defensive side of the ball as it has been in the past. I feel like, obviously, offensively, with the whole running back situation, that's probably what's going to sell the more tickets and whatnot. I would say Patrick Queen. Fuck it, go for it. Go for it. Fuck
That's
it.
just the deal.
Let's go.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
just throw them that money. Throw them all them ones. Fuck it.
I'll go on this one, and Rios, I'll let you have the last word, okay? On this one. All right. First of all, I didn't realize Zach Cunningham was still playing. That's funny. For Philadelphia, I didn't realize he was still part of the league. Okay, good for him. I'm gonna agree 100% with V. Either Shaquille Leonard sticks out for me as well. But if not, then for sure, I'd say this one would probably be best if you just go to free agency. Excuse me, into the draft as well.
Draft.
I think you can't. I don't know how, as far as the corners go, what will be available. And I think we talked about it a little earlier. The person you mentioned from Alabama, if he happens to fall there, then fine, take him. But if not, I'd say you would draft the inside linebacker, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think that's happened since Brian Cushing. Am I right?
well, this is
am I wrong here?
it's a pretty weak draft for middle linebackers also.
Right.
So
So
I wouldn't use a first rounder on a linebacker in this draft.
well, I mean, not
maybe
necessarily, well, yeah, I mean, or a second or whatever.
Maybe second or third rounder, maybe, but it's not a particularly strong class for middle linebackers.
But you would still go to the draft, though. At least that's the only thing. You would still go to the draft, even if it's at that point. But if somebody sticks, I mean, then again, if we never know what sticks out for D'Amico. But if he sees anybody, then I would say let it just happen to go to the draft.
Yeah, I'm gonna trust D'Amico and Nick Casario for this one.
On that one, on that position for sure. Rios,
So
your
not the rest, just this one.
Not the rest, yeah.
Just this one.
Right.
Everything else.
Rios, go for it.
So for me, I'm gonna go with a guy that's not traditionally a Mike linebacker, but he's so versatile. He could probably play pretty well. Frankenlua from the Panthers. We saw what he did against us when we played in Charlotte. Like he was all over the field. Like he was a one-man wrecking crew almost. And he's versatile enough. I think you could play him at Mike linebacker. He's primarily a right outside linebacker, but I think you can play him at the Mike position. He had a few snaps there, and I think he is versatile enough where he can play that. Another one I would go for if he's not available would be Al-Shaair from the Titans. Because he's familiar with the 49ers system. D'Amico coached him. The familiarity with the system, I think he would be a perfect fit here as well.
Yeah, and also fuck the Titans.
That too.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's a good one too. I forgot about Al-Shaair. Al-Shaair would be a pretty good addition to us too as well.
Do we have the fuck you Sam thing still?
No, hold on, give me a second. I know what you're looking for. And did I take it off? No, but I'll add it on there. In the meantime, give me a second. There it is.
We've been going for a minute, huh?
Yeah, it's been a minute, bro. There you go. That we have to.
Sam.
There you go.
I miss
Our resident Titans fan.
A resident Titans fan. All right, guys. Well, hey, listen. I want to take the time to thank V for stopping by. Please go check out the Texans at the Texans 22 podcast at Texans 22 podcast all together, just like that. I believe that's all. That's their Instagram, their Twitter, their YouTube, all around. So they're not hard to find. They got some great guests. Tell us about what you got.
Awesome content.
Awesome content. So V, tell us what you got coming up, man.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. So today we just released the Just a Matter BK video, as I mentioned earlier. Last week on Friday we released the Saquon Barkley video. So we have a weekly live stream on Tuesdays. We are going to have John McClain on tomorrow, but we also do in-depth videos, and our in-depth videos really they're anywhere from about 8 minutes to about 15 minutes, where we talk about either a particular player or particular topic and really dive into the X's and O's. And you don't necessarily have to be an enthusiast to learn every single term. What we try to do is, if there's a term we don't think you'll understand, we let you know. We diagram it out. We try to basically teach if you don't know it, and if you do, all the advanced stuff is right there as well. So, it is Texans focused, but we have fans from like the Broncos and Dolphins that actually watch the content, because it is, even though it is Texans focused, we talk about players and draft evaluations and so forth. So check us out on YouTube and follow me on Twitter at BrownChubbyBear.
Yes, sir. It's always fun to see V get into it, especially with Jags fans. All right, guys, that's going to be it for us today. Thank you again, V, and the Texans 22 podcast for showing up. And that's going to be it. Rios, you still got the pick and roll podcast on Wednesday, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And before we go, the South runs through Houston. Sorry, Jacksonville. Y'all time's finished.
There you go.
This is our division now.
It was never there.
It was never there. All right, guys.
It was there for 1 year.
That's right. Follow us up at Just Fans Pod on our Instagram account, trying to grow that number, and of course our Twitter account at Just Fans 22. That's going to be it, guys. Thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate it. See y'all next time. Peace.
Southwest A-League, Texas, throw down here and it's so infectious. We ride for the Houston Astros, Rockets, Dynamo, and them Texans. If you ain't never been down here, but rule number one, you gon' respect us. Just fans in my speakers, new one drop, they bout to bless us. I might right through the SWAT, playing just fans right through your spot. Look, and I don't know what you thought, but right here, dog, we gon'